Trump and social media. President Donald Trump has been utilising social media to provoke, something he loves to do. He does this because it allows him to control significant sections of his audience, either by riling them or getting their support and approval to what he posts. This provides him with fuel. His posts are regularly read by millions of people, which means that the reactions of millions of tertiary sources provides him with a substantial dollop of fuel. His narcissism loves it, and in turn, so does he. He knows that he enjoys getting a reaction. He knows that he enjoys winding people up. He doesn't understand, because he's an unaware narcissist, that he does this for the purpose of control and fuel. We've seen recently whereby he has agitated people as a consequence of sharing an AI-generated image of him as the Pope. Just recently, he said he had nothing to do with a depiction of himself as the Pope that was shared on his and White House social media accounts over the weekend. He distanced himself from the apparently AI-generated image. "I had nothing to do with it," Mr. Trump said while taking questions in the Oval Office. "Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I've no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I have no idea where it came from." That may well be true, that he didn't sit and pump into ChatGPT or some other artificial intelligence, "make me look like the Pope." However, it appeared on his social media and therefore was sanctioned. He dismissed it in his usual dismissive way. "They can't take a joke," telling the reporter, "You don't mean the Catholics, you mean the fake news media. The Catholics loved it," although some of them beg to differ in that regard. But the fact is, Trump said, "My wife thought it was cute." She said, "Isn't that nice?" Some Catholic leaders in the United States had said that the image could be interpreted as mockery of their faith. "It's never appropriate to ridicule or mock the papacy," Dennis Post, the executive director of the New York State Catholic Conference, the public policy arm for the state's Catholic bishops, told the New York Times. Trump winding people up by his depiction as Pope whilst poking fun at them. Another instance of his use of social media was over Easter, where, on his Truth Social account, he wrote, "Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane, and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife-beaters back into our country. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue, an attack so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe Biden purposefully allowed millions of criminals to enter our country, totally unvetted and unchecked, through an open borders policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America. He was, by far, our worst and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him, and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all of the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you, with great love, sincerity and affection, a very happy Easter." Again, typical Trump, taking to social media to denigrate his opponents, to smear Joe Biden. Whilst he may be correct in what he states, and that isn't the purpose of this video to determine the veracity of what he's actually stating, it's to point out that he uses this information through his narcissism to assert control over his detractors by criticising them, which includes Joe Biden. He brings up the past as well, referencing once again the fact that he maintains that he was cheated in the 2020 presidential election. But the manifestation of this particular post also demonstrates another aspect of Donald Trump, repetition and laziness. Because having spouted that over Easter, he then, on May the 4th, put up a picture of him as some muscular Jedi, and the White House account wrote, "Happy May the 4th to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. Similar wording utilised once again for the purposes of the assertion of control and the drawing of fuel. It's the bombastic behaviour of the upper lesser type B narcissist. And once again, there'll be those that love this pugilistic approach that Trump utilises, thinking that it's humorous and that he's right. Others will see it as not particularly statesmanlike. As is often the case with narcissists, they're Marmite characters. You will either love them or you will hate them. But either way, that doesn't matter to the narcissist, because it's a case of love me, hate me, but never ignore me. Trump, like many narcissists, utilise social media because it's a very effective way of getting to the prime aims. One can sit and with a click of a few buttons, pump out a post which can draw fuel from potentially millions of people, assert control over millions of people, and, dependent on the type of narcissist, enable the managing of a facade and perhaps also the attaining of residual benefits. Social media is an absolute playground for the narcissist, given its ease of use and potential reach, and I've made many videos about how narcissists utilise this. But it is interesting not only to see how Trump uses it, but also how certain people fail to understand why he does what he does. And this has been demonstrated by an article provided by Adam Gabbard in The Guardian about Truth, which is headlined, "Trump's Truth Social posts make no sense. What do they say about his mentality?" No political leader has used social media quite like Donald Trump. But his recent posts on Truth Social, the social media platform he founded in 2021, have become increasingly bizarre. The president using the lack of scrutiny afforded by the platform's small user base to truly let loose. It's an environment which affords him control. In the hundreds of truths since he took office, Trump has variously used Truth Social to reimagine himself as a king and to urge Americans to be cool as the stock market tanked in the wake of his trade war. The president's seemingly random use of capital letters, punctuation and inaccurate spelling consistent across the messages. Trump's posts broadly fit into three categories: attacking perceived foes, reposting praise, and posting no-context images or videos of himself like an elderly relative in a family group chat. Judges, or radical left judges as Trump would have them, have come in for particular criticism. The president eschewing normal decorum to lambast those members of the judiciary who won't let him deport people without due process. They are naturally threatening his control, so he lambasts them in order to nullify that threat to control. What is going on with our courts? They are totally out of control, Trump wrote on the 18th of April, responding to a judge's ruling that the government cannot deport non-citizens to a country other than their place of origin without due process. Trump then made the extraordinary and untrue claim that Joe Biden had flown in more than 500,000 undocumented immigrants to the US in one 24-hour period, before adding, "This radicalised judge is saying that sleepy Joe Biden can fly more than 500,000 illegals into America in one day, but we have to hold many years of long and tedious trials to fly each and every one of them back home. Where is the justice here?" Once again, Trump is utilising a distortion of the truth in order to assert control and nullify threats to control. That was one of the several furious complaints about judges not letting Trump do as he pleases. But his focus also went beyond the judiciary to the executive branch, the article explains. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, has been a frequent target in recent weeks. Trump has repeatedly posted stories from right-wing news sites which accuse James of alleged mortgage fraud. James has said the accusations are baseless, while also finding herself described by Trump's thumbs as a wacky crook, among other insults. Yet, Trump's Truth Social account does sometimes offer tender moments. No one, for example, treated the death of Pope Francis with more reverence than Donald Trump. "Melania and I will be going to the funeral of Pope Francis in Rome. We look forward to being there," Trump posted hours after the death of the pontiff. He followed that up by posting a video of a speech he gave at the White House, during which Trump praised Pope Francis as a good man while standing next to the Easter Bunny. The posts come thick and fast. Trump frequently writes on Truth Social more than a dozen times a day, interrupted only by adverts for dream singles and international singles. Amid the complaining about the rule of law and personal score setting, sometimes Trump announces things that would be good for people who are not on Truth Social, which is most people to know. Alert! All purchases of Iranian oil or petrochemical products must stop. Now, Trump wrote on Thursday afternoon. He warned that countries that purchase oil from Iran would be subject to secondary sanctions before signing off in the manner of a passive-aggressive tenant, writing to the landlord, "Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump." It was an important notice. Unfortunately, only about 5 million people use Truth Social each month, so Trump may have been screaming into the void. The diatribes about judges and tariffs and the all-caps, slightly hysterical entreaties of Vladimir, stop, after Russia launched its latest attack on Ukraine, account for much of the content. But they are interrupted by a sprinkling of no-context posts, photos and videos posted to Trump's account with little explanation, the messaging style of an elderly relative in a group chat. "Just landed in Italy," he posted on the 25th of April, attached with a video of him getting off a plane. Earlier that month, he posted a 7-second video of him swinging at a golf ball. No information was provided, similarly to his actions in March, when Trump posted an image that had been heavily edited, apparently with the intention of giving him a jawline, with the words "fight, fight, fight." There was no text accompanying the photo. Well, what's happening there is that, once again, it's his narcissism. He sees something in relation to him, he wants to share it to provoke a response because it gives him fuel. And he uses both Truth Social and X as a means of disseminating this information in order to assert control and draw fuel. But this particular reporter doesn't realise this. He just thinks, well, why? These doesn't make sense, these no-context posts. Well, of themselves, they do appear to be no context. But when you understand that Trump, like many leaders, is a narcissist, you then realise he's doing this to provoke a reaction because his narcissism drives him to do it. His narcissism wants him to provoke a reaction so that then he gets control and he gains fuel. Once you understand this, it makes perfect sense as to why he criticises the judges and the tone in which he does it, why he does post a 7-second video of him swinging at a golf ball, why he posts a picture of him as a muscular Jedi, why he posts a picture of him as the Pope. The article also points out that a favourite Trump pastime is reposting praise of himself. This, of course, is as a consequence of the fact that he receives fuel from the praise and he wants to amplify it through his social media account to let other people know, see, I'm being praised, react to this and give me more. Beyond that, the article explains there is a final common feature among Trump's use of Truth Social. It is his free-form, frequently unhinged posts. In early February, Trump banged out a lengthy missive which was ostensibly about the economy and trade, but read as if it were being shouted at townsfolk through a bullhorn. The tariff lobby, headed by the globalist and always wrong Wall Street Journal, is working hard to justify countries like Canada, Mexico, China, and too many others to name, continue the decades-long rip-off of America, both with regard to trade, crime, and poisonous drugs that are allowed to so freely flow into America. That was the first sentence. He then continued, "This will be the golden age of America. Will there be some pain? Yes, maybe, and maybe not. But we will make America great again, and we will all be worth the price that must be paid. We are a country that is now being run with common sense, and the results will be spectacular." All of that was in capitals. The article explains, the results of the tariffs have yet to be seen, but Trump's thoughts and views disseminated hourly on this little-used social media network are certainly spectacular. But it's not just there that he writes. He also does so on X, and as I explained earlier, his posts get millions of views. This reporter highlights the nature of his postings and basically thinks this is the diatribe of a madman, that they don't make any sense. But actually, they do. Because when you understand that he is a narcissist, you know that he uses his platform to attack people, to settle scores, to nullify threats to control, that he issues things as a provocation because he needs the fuel, that he talks about himself and praise that he receives in order to receive more, because that response validates him and provides him with yet more fuel. Once again, understanding narcissism enables you to make sense of the behaviour of certain people, something this reporter evidently needs to learn. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.